Hello shape enthusiasts and welcome back to another episode in our Insane Factory series after the new Dimensions update. Last episode we checked out the new train system. We didn't really like it very much. The smaller packages means we need to run a billion trains. As you can see, I've got a gravy train of trains running back and forth everywhere transporting my materials. I'm 100% sure I've done this incorrectly because I can't imagine the game wants us to run 2,000 trains per line just to transport all these tiny packages that they make now. But on to better things. So what are we trying to do this episode? Well, there's no point continuing with milestone 3 because all that gives us is the color mixer. What we really need to do is unlock some tasks to get some points, because our main issue right now that's blocking us is the speed at which everything happens. Our trains need upgrading. We need points to upgrade our trains. Our belts need upgrading. We're only on level 2 at the moment. We need to unlock the 3rd floor. All of this cool stuff that we need to do requires points. So we're going to focus on pinned tasks. We've only done 2 tasks because initially we focused on milestones to quickly unlock trains and fluid miners and painting and all that. But now that we have it, we're all about the tasks this episode. So we're going to try to smash through as many tasks in the next hour as possible, starting with number 3, raised stacking. Raised stacking. Is this trying to teach us some new technique that we don't know? I don't know. But the progression of this task requires circles, and then squares. Blue squares and red circle and then an uncolored circle. So I need red, blue, circle, square. Let's find somewhere to do this. We will start creating a staging area and bringing some stuff over. So I want some like RGB and then maybe we'll start creating our very first staging area. I like this area to start with. It has everything that we need. At the moment, our staging area only needs squares, circles, red and blue. So I'm just going to bring that in to start with. But over here, eventually our staging area can include diamond and emerald and green as well. So I think here is good enough. The circle looks pretty big over here. So let's start with 4 miners. Oh, there's no point creating staging areas right now because we don't even have the level 3 things. We should make it with in mind that we're going to have level 3 things. Because once we have our 3rd floor, we're going to need another line of miners along here to make a fully stacked level 3 space belt. So we'll do this, 2, 3, 4, leaving 1 space in between for that space belt. I want 4 things for each shape, right? So that's going to be our circles. Then we need our squares. So our squares will be over here. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to deliver everything by train. So let's get the unloading station sorted. So we'll grab our shape unloader and we'll face it this way. Give some space in between each sets of station for belts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That belt's coming from here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of squares to be unloaded. It needs a stop. So that's where our squares want to unload. We need an analogous loader. So something like this. That gives plenty of room for the belts to go in. Something like that. We'll add in our stop, which is going to be here. We'll add in our locomotives, which is going to be here. We'll get 6. I don't know how many we need, but we'll start with 6. And do something like that. Now we need only link these 2. Like that. And that should get our squares into our staging area. So now in our staging area, we have circles, we have squares. Eventually, when the train loads them over, look at this gravy train of trains coming over. They're all working, right? I don't know why this one's just dumping nothing. Now we have squares, we have circles, we need our colors. So we'll do our colors maybe up here. So the green's there, the red is over here. Very similarly, we will get fluid outputs and we're going to leave 1 space in between each one to allow the fluid to be Mark 3 one day. Now the loading for the fluids is a bit different, right? Wait, do we not have fluid loading yet? We don't have fluid wagons yet. That's not even a thing yet. Oh, that's fun. In that case, temporarily, our staging area for colors is just going to have to come via pipe. So there's our red. Where's the closest blue? Probably up here. Let's see if we can fit this up there. This blue asteroid is too small, it seems. What about this one? Why is this red asteroid so big and these blue asteroids are all tiny? This one fits. It's a bit far away though. I guess it'll have to do because that's the only one that fits for. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah, this is too small. That's fine. It'll just take some time to travel, but it will travel eventually. So there's our red, there's our blue, and now we should be able to make every single progression of this shape. So for the first part of this shape, we only need 2 circles. So there's 1 circle, there's 2 circles. To make the bottom layer, we first need to cut this circle apart. We can use our lovely 1 to 2 halves, cutting 1 to 2. I believe this gives me 2 halves of a shape. Yep, perfect. Now we need to paint one of these. So we'll get our red paint, bring it down here somewhere. Get our Mark II painter and do that. Now that should get half our circle red. And we need to now flip one of these circles, so 180 degrees. So we'll get our 180 degree rotator there. Belt that in. Then we just need to stack these back together. So we will use our stacker, bent Mark II. And this should be the bottom layer of our shape. Now the second part of our shape is going to be another half circle, but this time we can just half destroy it, because we don't need the other half of the circle. So we'll get our half destroyer, and that will give us that circle on this side. What shape is this orientation in now? Probably the wrong orientation. Let's get this into the right orientation. I believe we need a 180 rotation on there. Then we can belt this in, and then we just need to stack these 2 layers. The half circle needs to be on top. And this half red, half uncolored circle needs to be on the bottom. And in theory, this should be our output. Now, to transport all this back to base, we definitely want to use trains. So let me get a loader. I'm going to steal one from my area over here, because it'll be the same as our loaders for this. Which looks like this, because it's so far away, we need so many loaders. And even this many trains doesn't seem like enough to carry all this capacity. So we'll go over here and we'll just put this train system down over here like that. Then this can go into the home from the west side. So we need one of these. Like that. Then we'll get our rail in. There's our westbound rail that runs all the way out of the map. Now this can go down and meet our westbound rail. All the way down. Did I miss it? I think I missed it. There we go. And in theory, that should be okay. But apparently we need like double the amount of trains to keep this going properly. So why don't we just get double the amount of trains until we get faster trains. Now, is this producing the correct shape? That looks correct. We want the red on the other side. That's why we've got the 180 rotator. And then that should produce the correct shape. And indeed, we do have a tick. So that will start going. Then it'll get loaded onto the train. It'll follow the route all the way back home and deliver that shape for us. While we're waiting, we can check if milestone 2 is indeed functioning properly, because at the end of last episode, I didn't even make sure this was working. It looks maybe correct. I'm comparing this to this up in the top. You might not be able to see, but it looks awfully correct to me. If I go to my operator level, my milestone 2 is currently at 2500. We'll see if it goes up at some point. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support Data Engineer Plays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comment section. Now, while we're waiting for this staging shape to come through, I'm going to put a marker down. And we're going to call this staging 1. And we'll just give it any mark. Doesn't really matter. We've got milestone 1 done, so let's claim some free operator levels. Now, while we're waiting for this task to complete, we can multitask a little bit and start working on the next shape. And again, this just needs red and blue, but it needs circles, squares, stars, and stars. So just no windmills and red and blue. So we're going to create a staging 2 somewhere. Let me scout a good area for this. Alright, I think staging 2 is going to be around here because I can see a rectangle, an emerald, a circle, and a star was around here somewhere here. So we can do it, say, between here and here. Let me set up the staging area again. Let's start with this one. We'll get our miners in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Again, we're leaving room for future upgrades. We'll get our miners on over here as well for the circles. We'll go here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Nice. We're a bit far from base, but that's fine. Once we upgrade our train speeds, everything should be much better. I can see this is now being delivered. So indeed, our milestone 2 is working. The other shapes that we need for this is the square and the star. The star is right over here. So would it be better to just do this by belt because it's quite close? Like this. So we should be able to now just belt this out down here. And there's our stars. There's our circles. We can just belt them all together into one now that we have this enhanced 400% belts. And our squares are over there. This one is a little bit far, so I might put a staging area for trains over here. So let me drop a marker over here called staging 2. And now if we go to staging 1, we should be able to copy our unloading station, go back to staging 2, plop one down this way. Something like this. We don't need this shape now, so I'm not going to deal with it. We go back to staging 1 and we copy this thing. Then we go back to staging 2 and we plop it down on the square over here. Give it a flip. I'm out of platform units. That's fun. I've only got 53 platform units. I can't even do this crazy stuff anymore. What's using up all my platform units? Just inefficient processing from here? I'm already doing all this by train. It's these long ass pipes that are bringing the liquid that's using up all my stuff. Especially from staging 1. We could recoup a lot of platform units if we brought this item over by train. I think these 2 belts are sort of killing it. But let's just check back on platform 1 to see why none of these have been delivered yet. Why nothing's being delivered. All my packages are there. Oh, I'm an idiot. No wonder all my platform units are gone. This is not a rail. This is a belt. I was like, why have I used up 10 billion platform units and why are my trains not going? Silly me. Maybe if I don't use it on an unnecessary belt, we would be all good. All right, now we put a train rail in there. 1, this should start delivering my shape. And number 2, I got 180 platform units back. Is 180 platform units good enough to start making staging 2? We were trying to get the square over, and the square is here. So let's see if we can't plop this down now. That uses a lot of platform units, but that should get me my train thing over here somewhere. It's gonna go to about there, because that cuts into there. And then we'll turn the rail into here. And that's basically our staging 2 done. And with our staging 2, we can start to make this shape, maybe, because we still need red. Fortunately for us, red is over here. Also, we're using a lot of platform units to make unnecessary platforms. So we can like recoup some here like that for now, knowing that that's there. then we can put some fluid extraction over here. And I only need to extract 1 red, so I'm just going to do that for now. Is this big enough to extract 4 one day? 2, 3, not really. We can only get 3 belts of red out of this, but that's going to be a future Allen problem, because for now we just need 1 belt of red and 1 star. Our star is this, right? So we have our full to 2 diagonal blueprint, which we can just chuck on the star. So I'll go there. There's 2 stars out. We can just bin 1 star because we don't actually need it right now. Grab our bin, get rid of 1 of the stars. The other one needs to go with a red diagonal circle. So we can again just do this. Maybe we'll do it closer. Out that way. And now that needs to be painted red. Like this. And now we need to get our red paint, which is right here, luckily. Something like that. And these should be in the same orientation. So in theory, I just need to stack them. Order doesn't matter. So we just belt it in like that. That should give us the correct shape that we want to transport. If we go back to our staging 1, we can build this crazy monstrosity to bring it back to base. Back to staging 2. And we need to build this somewhere. And that takes way too much platform. Can we build a lighter version of that? Just to transport some stuff for now. And then we can expand on that when we have more efficient platforms. So we want it to be in there. We're going to give some room in case we need future processing. And we want something like this. Now we should be able to get that in. And that should load our shape. Do we have a preview yet? Not yet. But while it's doing that, we can set up the railway. We'll go back to home. And we will... I want to move this to the correct spot, but... like that. Why does it hate my railway? Go into here. There we go. I might have deleted a couple of trains, but that should work. Clearing up this railway. We'll copy that again. Rotate it. And now we got a railway heading outbound this way. We'll go out a bit and drag our railway back in. And now we have our 4 cardinal railways done. Staging 2 is much, much further than that. So we'll drag it longer. And now staging 2 can come down, meet this railway, and eventually transport that back to base. Fantastic. Off my 4 trains go. But this thing hasn't started producing anything yet. Is it stuck? Why are you stuck here? It's a fluid platform. We're a shape thing. Delete. There we go. That should start producing the shape that I need, except it's in the wrong order because the ribbon needs to go on top. So we need that. Not a painter, a stacker like that. And while we were messing about with that, our task is now done, so we can claim our 1 point and start working on the more valuable tasks with our 51 platforms. But that shouldn't be a problem because we only need to chuck a couple of platforms down to make this. So the bottom layer of this has changed now. It's no longer the circle, and this half circle thing is now the top layer. And it's been flipped the other way around. So I get rid of my 180 rotator. Then we're all good. We can flush this platform. How do you flush the platform? I? Yeah, I flushes the platform. What we need to do now is take this half circle and mix it with a blue half square. Now we've staged our squares. They're all here. Why do I only have 1 platform of squares? Does this not work? Oh, right. Because all of these need to be 4 wagons long. I've used up the rest of my platform units. Let's get rid of these. But it's okay, I can use my first square for now. All of these problems will resolve themselves very easily one day. We need to only cut out half this square, so we need a half destroyer like this. Then we need to paint that blue. Now our blue is over here. We might struggle a little bit to get this belt over. We're gonna go under our platforms and back over to get that painted. We've got 8 left. We should be okay. So we'll get our painter in here. Then we'll get that across into here. That gets our blue half square. Is that correct? Yes. And our blue half square is going to be on the right hand side. And that right hand side needs to stack with this. And that needs to now rotate to 180 degrees. Like this. Let's not do this right here. We'll bring it up here. That way you have a nice clean rotation out. And then that needs to go into a stacker. And the order doesn't matter. And I'm out of platform units. Fantastic. Let's not have 3 billion trains here. That's 100 platform units back. We'll get that going in there. And that should get us our bottom layer. This should get us our top layer. And that's all in the correct order. So in theory, we should just be able to stack it. That being our top layer, that being our bottom layer. Like that. And then into the platform you go. See how easy it is to play this game once you have staging areas and some platform units? And faster trains, for that matter. I'm wondering if I want faster trains or will just faster belt speed for now be better. I think faster belt speed would just help immediately, even if our cutters and painters and stuff can't keep up yet. This is stuck because it's waiting for this. But yes, faster belt speed will help everything drastically. Trying to wait for a shape preview that tells me I'm building the correct shape. Oh, this looks so much faster than what it was before. It's actually flowing and I can actually see it flowing. Let's check back in on staging 2 while we wait for staging 1 to see if it is delivering the correct shape. It's still delivering, yeah, it is. Ribbon on top and the star on the bottom, but we only have 4 trains here. Maybe we can make it 8 trains here. Make it a little bit faster. Like that. I want to check on my milestone 1 where I have like 10 trains and is it fast enough to keep up? Barely. It's not full anymore, but yeah, that's how many trains at the moment I need to keep up with this. Ugh, terrible. Back to staging 1. Can we get more squares over? I know I've kind of overkilled it with the staging at the moment because I don't actually need this much staging right now, but that's okay. It'll just make our lives easier later. Do I get a shape preview that tells me this is the correct shape? Or do I have to do it myself? Is this an overhang? Am I looking at it wrong? No, this becomes an overhang. We have to change the order in which we do stuff and then create an overhang on the next one. That's fine. We just have to change the order. But for now, I think this is the correct shape, even though it doesn't give me a tick. Ah, I'm an idiot. All my trains are full because I didn't put this at 2 levels. All of these need to be at 2 levels. Ah, I've done it again. Amazing. Let me flush this station out. That way my trains can actually deliver something. I was wondering why they weren't delivering. How's staging 2 doing? I'm gonna make sure all my trains are working correctly. There's a gravy train of trains traveling 1 billion miles away to get to over there. The train speed is really killing me right now. I really need faster train speeds. And each one of these cargoes, I can't even select the train, but each one of these cargoes it's holding is only 180. Because the delivery on this route is so long, it might almost be worth adding a second stop on the trains, so it can like double the throughput. What I mean by that is we can do this and double the throughput over here. And now it'll load onto 2 platforms and each train will drop twice. Of course, to do that, we need a second stop. So now you can see it stops twice and then off it goes, doubling our throughput. because this one is an extra long track. I'm going to do that. And also I don't have much platform units. And to make that drop off twice, we need a second stop over here as well. So we're juggling between how many stops versus how many trains we need, which seems very silly, but whatever. It is what it is. Now it seems these guys are finally dropping off their product and picking up the new product. And maybe in 30 minutes, it'll finally start dropping off that product. All right, after a bit of time, we are back with this one done. So we'll do this one first, I guess. Let's go to staging 2 and see if we have enough platforms to do this second part of it. The second part of it is this thing. All right, let me just confirm that. Sorry, I got 2 things pinned. It's a little bit confusing. Yeah, it's this thing over here. So what are we doing? So we started with just that bit, and now we need to stack a square on top of it. So we've got our squares somewhere, which is over here. And once again, we've only gotten 1 belt of squares out because we haven't added our trains to the back of this. But since I can't afford to do that right now, we only need 1 belt of squares for this. So we'll just use the 1 belt that we have, which is this one. So this comes out like this. We need to split it in half, and then we need to make it blue. Well, luckily we have a blue right here. Let's see if we've got enough platform units to make this happen. I'm just going to do 1 fluid miner to save as many platform units as possible. We'll bring a belt up. 31 platform units left. This makes full to 2 diagonals, so we should get 2 belts of diagonals here. One of them needs to be painted blue. So we'll get a painter. Give it a flip. Actually, we need to probably put this here. Maybe I'll do it this way. No, that's silly. Do it this way. That gets our blue bit. And then we need to put it with our regular bit again on top of it. So the order is the blue goes on top. Grab our stacker. This is the blue bit. So it's like that. Belt that in, and that should get our other piece of diagonal, which in theory, if you stack 2 diagonals together with missing stuff, it should just stack. I'm not 100% sure on that, but let's find out. So we'll get our stacker like this. Give it a flip. In this case, the order doesn't really matter. So we should just be able to do that. In theory, that should be what we need. We'll unlock this next thing, and then we will start working on this third part. So let's go back to staging 1 while staging 2 does its thing. Now we've got an operator level as well, giving us a total of 12 points. And I think the best thing to unlock to speed things up for now is train speed. I don't care about train capacity. I just need my train to go faster. Well, I suppose train capacity would also be good. Okay, now we need to reorder staging 1. So what we're making over here is almost completely irrelevant. We need to make this back and forth red thing. So I'm going to get rid of all this, and I'm going to delete my trains so it has time to unload everything. And then we're just going to change the order on which we do all these operations because we don't need any of that. What we do need to do is paint one of our red circles. So we'll get our painter over here. So now we've got a full red circle, which we need to cut into 2 halves. So cutting 1 to 2, 1 input, 2 halves. Then we need to get this one as well and do cutting 1 to 2 here. If I sort of offset that a little bit, we can do that. Like this. Then we've got our uncolored red circle. Then if we just stack it, we need to rotate one of them. So we'll put it here, get a 180 rotator, say here, go in here with a stacker. That should get me the shape that I need. Again, can't verify it. Then we need a similar thing on this side to do that. In fact, we should just be able to stack this now. we need to rotate the other one. We need to rotate this one. And then we can kind of go underneath, right? We'll go underneath. Now that it's rotated, we'll get another stacker directly underneath this stacker. We'll go in here like that. And then this thing can go underneath and join in here. So now that should create the inverted red circle. Now we just need to stack both of these together. So we can do that by doing this. I'm not sure which circle goes where. In fact, it doesn't matter which circle goes where. We can just adjust the rotation later. So like that. So we're using the two levels to our advantage now to create tighter and tighter builds. That should in theory give me what I need. Let's verify it. What happened to my red circles? Why are you not coming out? Oh, right. The painter doesn't work this way. There we go. So that gets me my red circles, my red half circles. They will merge into a full red circle. The platforms underneath should make the other inverted of that. And then that should make us our red circles stacked on top of red circles. And then we just need to get our blue half squares, which is just this. Except we've deleted this. We've deleted our paint for some reason. That's fine. Now, with our blue half squares, we need to make sure we stack it in the right order with the red squares. With the red circles, which it's not. I want to change this order like this. So it goes out this way. And then I can rotate this 180 degrees. Wait, if I've changed the order, then I don't need to rotate. Aha. I believe. And we should just be able to stack it. So this goes on top, and that blue thing goes on the bottom. Theoretically, that should be the shape that we want, and we'll check in on that in a second. Let's see what's going on with our staging 2. That should have kicked off already. Well, actually, the train takes so damn long to do stuff that I doubt it. Ah, it's not the right shape. So this needs to rotate 90 degrees. If you're new to my series, the way I like to do stuff is instead of sitting here and waiting to make sure I'm producing the right shape, I usually just make it the way I think it's gonna work. Then if it's wrong, I just leave it and work on something else in parallel, and then I come back to check if it's right. I know that might be a little bit frustrating for some people, but that's just how I work, I guess. Just trying to delete some of this stuff. Now this should be producing the right shape once all this flushes. Can I see a stacked one? Hold on. Am I looking at the right thing? This is still not the right shape. Oh, I'm producing the completely wrong shape, you muppet. This is a 3-layer shape, not a 2-layer shape. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. I'm producing the completely wrong shape over here. Let me redo this side. Before we do that, let's go back to staging 1 and make sure I'm producing the right shape on this side. We capture a shape. That looks correct to me. What happened to all my tick marks and stuff that tells me I'm producing the correct shape? It's like gone. But I have faith this is the right shape. Let's work on staging 2. I've produced the completely wrong shape. I was looking at this in the overworld thinking I knew what I was looking at, but it's actually not right. So from the ribbon shape that we made originally, which is the bottom part of this shape, we need to stack on this. So, wait, still looking at the wrong shape. This is the bottom ribbon part of the shape, but if we just stack on the square the way we're currently stacking it on, it's not actually going to work because it's just going to fall down and flatten. We need to stack the red and the square first, and then stack the star last. So where this is happening, we need to get rid of it. And then if I just select everything and just flush everything, I don't want to stack the ribbons anymore. I want the ribbons to directly go into here. That way the ribbon will stack with the square part. And in theory, that should get me what I want. Then we stack this part last. When it comes out, this goes on the bottom. I believe that's how it works. So if we just did that, that goes on the bottom. So here what's coming out, once the ribbon part goes away, is this shape. Which is this shape on top, the second and third layers. And then if we just stack it with a star afterwards, then it should give us the correct shape. Now, is this the right shape? Something tells me the diagonality is weird. It's just flipped, I think. Yes, it's flipped, but it is the right shape. The square, square, circle, circle, and then the diagonal goes through the red. Cool. I believe it's the right shape anyway. Let's go back to check on staging 1. We are delivering this shape, so I'm not too worried. Let's see how the delivery speed's looking. Terrible. What if we up the staging over here to do double stops? And we do double carriages on here, because we have a couple of platform units left. And then at home, we also do double stops over here. Maybe things will be a little bit faster. Now here comes our first wave of double trains. We can see how that works now. Twice as fast. At least it gets 2 tiny packages across. And then off it goes and comes the next train. 2 packages, etc, etc. Oh, here comes all the trains with nothing to carry. Why are there so many trains carrying nothing? Am I not making this fast enough? The belt speed. Well, things won't look saturated anymore because of belt speed. But you guys have so many things to carry. Why have you just come here with nothing? You weird trains. Alright, is staging 2 finally getting me the right item? That looks like the right item. Just that 90-degree rotation just makes this thing look so whack. I'm trying to visualize it's the right item. But we'll find out soon enough once these trains finally arrive. I honestly should have built temporary staging areas a lot closer to my base to speed up this entire process instead of finding the first emerald that was available, which is all the way out here. There's literally no other emeralds available. Like, if you look at windmills, this is like the first windmill out to this side. And there's no other windmills available. But anyway, this is now done, so we can work on the final part of this shape, which will give us a big 8 points. What are we doing to it? Staging 1. So what has changed? We've got a red circle, and an uncolored circle, and then diagonal blues. So we're basically just changing this whole process. I still want to connect the blues. Making diagonal blues is pretty easy. We just need to go to our blueprints menu, go full to 2 diagonals, grab our bin, maybe put it on the right level. I'll put my bin here, get my painter, and then belt that in. That should be full to 2 diagonals, or at least one of the diagonals that we need at the bottom layer. And then it's just 3 circles on top, 2 red circles and a regular circle. I've got 4 belts of red coming in through here, so I should just be able to paint this twice. So let me get my painter, and we'll chuck 1 here, maybe over here. We'll go 1 there. We'll paint it like properly. Then we'll stack it with the red on the bottom. So like that. Probably that would be better. Go that around, and that should get me 2 layers of red circle. And then I need 1 more circle from my staging area. And it also needs to be painted red. So we'll put a painter in somewhere. Get that going across here. Get my paint coming out. We can split it. Go down, around, and up. It's not the cleanest build, but it'll do. Remember, we're going to gut all this anyway. Then we need a stacker with the red on top. So this, red on top. Let me flush this. No, this is now the correct shape. Get the belt going over here. And then we just need to stack this on the bottom. So we get another stacker. This is on top that time. And then that goes on the bottom. And then this goes nice and out. This can now just be flushed. The other side is also done. So we can unlock that. With 9 points, we should probably start upgrading. Maybe our cutting speed is probably the next slowest thing. Get that going a little bit faster. We do a lot of cutting. We've also got some milestone points to claim. Nice, that's another 4. So here it is, our red, uncolored red circle. And eventually that's gonna go out into here and make our shape that we want. And there's no order to it, so that's all happy. Now we're trying to make this thing with a star on top. Is it exactly the same shape as before, just with an extra star on top? That should be reasonably easy to change, so let's go ahead and do that. I want to change this thing now, because we need to do more process to it. And then we can flush this, so that the trains don't have to work carrying the wrong product anymore. We need another star. So we've brought 4 belts of star over. So we should simply be able to peel off another star and then bring it down, around, and up here. And the star goes on top and this thing goes on the bottom. And in theory, this should just be my shape now. I really hope it was just the last shape with a star on top. I think it is. But again, we have no way to verify until things start ticking, so we'll let these things run and hopefully it'll start showing the correct shape soon. But this definitely looks like this shape, so I'm not worried about staging 1. The stars are coming. Let's see if I stacked it in the right order. You look at one of these, and they look about right to me. And then does this shape just change entirely after this? It just becomes, the blue just completely disappears. And then we just do something completely whack and different. And we just have a red circle. It's so weird. These shape changes are just so weird. I'm awesome at the game and I realize I've completely screwed up this because this is not a liquid pipe. And up we go. I was like, why is this completely stopped? Right, because I'm not painting my blue bits anymore. What a waste of time. That's fine. This game is basically like programming, you know? You make changes, you introduce some bugs, you test it, and then you fix stuff iteratively. Alright, one of our pin tasks is completed, giving us another 2 points. Now we gotta work on this, which is completely different. Fun. So let's head over to staging 2 and we will go and do this shape. The bottom layer is the same. The middle layer is now turned into a red circle. So instead of cutting it, we just want to direct it in there. And that should be our red circle layer. I'm gonna get rid of this. And the blue square is gone completely. There's no square. All of this is just useless now. Instead, we have this star goes onto the red circle. Or the red circle goes onto this star. So let's stack that first. I'm gonna get rid of all of this. You know what? Let's just start again. Oh man, every shape is just starting again. So we'll get our stacker. That goes on the bottom, that goes on the top like that. Like that, but on the right level. So this should in theory give us the bottom layer of our shape, onto which we need a diagonal circle. So we need to steal another circle and cut it. So we essentially need this process somewhere, like that. Now we'll just direct the circle in there. Now we've got our diagonal circle. We need to stack it onto this shape, but preferably in the opposite orientation to this one. So this will probably need to rotate. It's a 90-degree rotation whenever it comes to diagonal stuff. Then this needs to stack on the bottom and the diagonal circle needs to go on top. Let me get rid of these stars. We'll need them in the end. We also need our bin. Wait, that is the bin. This is what we need. We need to bring that down, around, and then up like that. That will give us 3 layers of the shape, on top of which we just need to stack a star. So now that's on the bottom, and that should be our final shape, and then that can go into here. I'm gonna remove this, flush that, so it doesn't have to keep delivering stuff. We're gonna go back over to this side of the world and unlock our final thing. And now we should have 16 points, which we can get some valuable upgrades. We'll get our stacking speed the same as everything else. And then we'll probably want our painting speed up. Or maybe we should get our train capacity up first to get things delivering a little bit faster. Our train capacity now goes 2 to 3. Does that mean each thing can now pick up 3 cargoes? What does 2 to 3 mean? I have no idea. It still says 180 per package. But maybe now we can do 3 packages, who knows? So in theory, this should now be the correct shape, and on the other side of the world, staging 1 can be stripped entirely. Strip that, empty that out, and we can start working on a new shape. We also got some operator levels to claim. We're getting research points in from every direction now, which is fantastic. In our tasks, we can now start working on the 5th shape, scrambled specimen. So it doesn't really matter what this shape comes out as. I'm just going to pin the first part. So finally we need green, and green is here. We have 400 platform units, so we can get green staging properly. Green staging properly in the fact that I can only get 3 out of this thing, but that's fine. We'll have to be clever with our painting. Bring a green belt like this, go under, over, and we'll bring it out like this. That way all our colors are nice and convenient to access, because we're going to need to create this shape from quarters. Well, we can take a circle and we can split it into quarters. I think I also have a blueprint that's like full to 3/4. Full to 4/4. Does this blueprint? No, it doesn't work because I don't have the 2 to 2 shape. Alright, well, we'll just have to do this the dumb way, which is to take a circle. Maybe work a bit further back so that I can have some more room around here to do stuff. But we'll have to do this the dumb way, which is to quarter cut a circle, quarter cut an emerald. Do we have emerald in this staging area? We don't. But we built this around here such that there was an emerald around here, because why would we have put our staging area here otherwise? I love this shape filter thing. Yeah, there it is. The windmill. Blind. So we'll get this going on the windmill. Why are my shape patches like the biggest patches in the world, and my color patches are just these tiny little blobs? But anyway, we need another one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give it plenty of room. 1, 2, 3. Maybe a little bit more room, so the train can turn. Well, the train turns there, but that's fine. Just give it a bit more. Give it a bit more room. No harm there. Get a rail going like this, and then we'll link it into the staging like that, and that way we should now have emeralds coming out, and we should have 4 belts of emeralds. We only need 1 of the belts of emeralds because we want to take that and we want to put it there. And now it comes out the bottom right, so we're going to counterclockwise rotate this back like that. Then these 2 need to join. So we'll bring that over here, we'll bring this over here, we'll get ourselves a nice little stacker, and we'll get those joined. Like that. That should get us this weird bottom layer shape, which we need to paint green. So we'll get our painter like this, and we'll get our green like that, and that. That's our bottom layer done. Then we need another quarter, and that quarter also needs to be quarter cut, and that needs to be stacked on top, and this needs to be on the bottom. Something like this. Get that coming across there, and get that in. Theoretically, that should be this shape. Time to check back in on staging 2 to see if we are indeed getting the shape that we're trying to make. It looks a bit weird, but it is the right shape, I believe. If we go home, let's see if the trains arrived with that shape. I think this is the first iteration of it. No. None of my trains are arriving with this shape. I've got a little hack to get this going a bit faster. Instead of waiting for the train to travel all the way back, you can just reset these trains manually. And then they'll come and start collecting all the crap in there. But now that'll save us a lot of time. Later on, when we have vortex launches, this shouldn't be an issue. But for now, we can see it's working. Is this producing at maximum speed? Yeah, it is. Checking back in on staging 1. Are we producing the right shape here? Nothing's coming out here yet. We've got our first batch of emeralds. It's going to be a bit slow to saturate. We'll make sure this is all working properly. Yep, we got plenty of trains coming. They're grabbing all the emeralds. This is as much emerald as they can get. This train didn't even get anything, see? So these trains are definitely keeping up on this little short route. I think the capacity upgrade tells the train how many bits of cargo it can pick up. I'm not 100% sure. I need to check in on a staging area where there's cargo to see if that is indeed correct. So for example, at staging 2, see I've got like 3 bits of cargo right now. If I reset one of my trains, I know these back trains definitely don't have cargo, but if we respawn one of these trains, it's gonna come in and it's going, yeah, okay, so now it's picking up double packages, see? Whereas before it was picking up single packages. So the capacity increases the amount of packages it picks up, and therefore you require less trains to deliver the same amount of cargo. Fantastic. So once we get all the capacity upgrades and all that stuff, then everything will be a lot better. But we've got a couple of trains delivering a couple of batches of this cargo, so that should start ticking over soon. And check out the next iteration of this shape. It's just something completely different using like it might as well just be a completely different shape. It's not even a progression. There's nothing we can utilize from what we're doing here to make this. We have to take 3 squares or 2 bits of square. It's so weird. It's taking the shape from here. I have no idea what's going on. It's a blue square on a blue square and a full square. So we need 2 squares to do this. So silly. Alright, back at staging 1, what we were going to check is this green thing working? And it looks like it is. Because it is coming through. But why is it uncolored? It is fully colored. Oh wait, no, it's just the uncolored bit on top of it, which is correct, which is what we want. Great. So that'll start delivering at some point, and we'll be back when there's something to do. Head over to staging 2, since this shape's about to get delivered, and we're going to make this next iteration of the shape, which is a little bit different to what we've been doing, but pretty much uses the same stuff. So we're going to have to paint a blue square, cut that into diagonals, and then put a regular square on top of it. So we will need a second belt of regular square, but let's get the blue one painted first. We'll grab our painter, chuck that over here, and grab a belt, put it in there. That should get our blue bit. Now we need to slice that blue bit into 2 diagonals. So we'll grab our thing over here, slice it into 2 diagonals, and we're going to have to stack this in a very particular order. One of the diagonals needs to just stack with one of these blue squares. So we're going to grab our blue, our stacker, and just stack it over here. Order doesn't matter. Wait, order does matter. We in fact need that on the bottom, like that, and that on top like this. That will get me my blue first and second layer. Then we need to stack another blue square diagonal on top of that. So that goes on top, that goes on the bottom. That should get us our first 3 layers, to which we just need to stack a star. So we can now get rid of most of this. In fact, all of it. Then we just need to bring this over into another stacker where the star is on the very top. Like such, and just deliver that in. We'll go over here, we'll clear out whatever crap is in here. And that should be that. But in the meantime, we got ourselves another 6 points, which puts us at 11 research points, which lets us upgrade nothing. But that's fine. I think we want slightly more train speed. 12, 12, and 12. So we need about another 36 points, get our painter speed up to scratch. I believe we need 1 level of painter speed. How many painters do I have on my painting platforms? Let's have a quick look. A painting platform uses 4, and a belt is currently carrying 120. Actually, we don't need another painting level yet, because this painter actually does a full belt worth. Right? Takes 30, and it can carry that much, and our pipes carry, yeah, enough. So we're fine for the painter. We don't actually need to upgrade the painter. We'll just keep upgrading the train speed because that's what's delaying us the most at the moment. But we don't have a second belt of squares, so let's get that going now that we have some platform units to play with. So to get a second belt of squares going, we do need to, I think, increase this. That gets us all 4 belts of squares. To speed things up a bit, we'll just quickly respawn all our trains. Oh, there they go. How's my staging 1 doing? Yep, our trains are indeed doing things. I believe we can see a big batch about to be delivered. So with that being done, we can probably start working on the second iteration of this shape, which is this thing. It's all just half a shape. In that, is any part of this being used? Kind of. If we just put a quarter of a thing down here, then put a quarter of a circle above it, we should be sweet. Now looking at the progression of this shape, we're eventually going to need to make a second one of these. So, oh, you know what? When we have to make this, we'll just change the way it works, because it's just so much more difficult trying to piece together 2 of these shapes from halves. Or should we just make this shape now and then cut it in half? That probably makes more sense. Then we don't have to like remake this shape. If we make this shape now and then cut it in half and just get the left half, you can't double up the delivery of it because this half and this half is not the same. But at least if we just make this shape now, it'll be easier to progress from here to here later, I guess. Let's pin this shape, go back to staging 1 and start looking at the stars and stuff. Do we even have stars in our staging area? Because we only bought 2 shapes over. We only got 170 something points at the moment. Do we have a stars nearby that we can use instead of a full stars? Because I got my circles, I got my squares, and I'm bringing emeralds over from here. Now I definitely did stuff over here because I have a star around here. It's all the way back here. We can start bringing the stars with 170 platform units, although it's a little bit tight, isn't it? Let's unlock that. I suppose we can. 216 platform units. How much does this cost? 160. I guess we can finish our staging area by bringing that over. And then we would need another one of these things. We would probably put it like, say, here. Then we can grab our star thing from here. Grab a rail. Then we'll scroll out and drag it over here. We'll hug this bit over here and then just bring it this way. And then in. And that should in theory be our stars. Make sure that's working. It should be working. Let's go back to staging 2 and make sure this thing is working. We've also got 12 points, so let's get our train upgrades going. More train speed, please. That's almost doubled our train speed. Our final upgrade doubles our train speed, but this is a very small jump. We probably want train capacity. Then we don't have to use so many trains and stations. Fantastic. What's going on with these trains? Why are they not spawning? No, that one's fine. Why are you not spawning? I don't see any stars being delivered. Or did it just deliver a bunch of stars? Oh, I think the first batch of trains left, but at the time it didn't have any stars to deliver. So we're just gonna respawn these trains real quick to get things kicked off. And while that's doing that, we'll check in on staging 2 to make sure this shape is indeed being created. We do indeed have squares flowing from both sides, and we have, nope, this is the wrong order. So what's happening? That's on the bottom, whereas that should be on top. This stacked shape should be on the bottom. So let's fix that. Like that, and like that. Let me flush this out. Flush that out. Flush that again. All right, now it should be sweet. Yep, now that looks like the correct progression of the shape, and order doesn't matter for this case, so we should be okay now. Anyway, back to staging 1 to try to make this shape. We should have our stars now. So the bottom layer is just half a star. So it's just basically this. I'm gonna delete all of this, and we're gonna do the staging area somewhere a little bit closer. Since we're starting from scratch, we basically want to bring half a star over this side. That's the only star that we need. So we'll get a little half destroyer going like that. That's our bottom layer. Our next layer is this shape. Now we can do this a little bit more clever. It's basically an emerald and a circle. And if we just swap an emerald and a circle, we should get 2 iterations of that shape. So let's bring our circle and bring our emerald together. If I don't use swappers, I know people in the comment section are going to be like, use your swapping blueprint. Yeah, well, we will. So we do have a swapping blueprint in Mark 3. Let me just check if this works in Mark 2. I believe it does, but there's only one way to find out. Wait, a swapping blueprint takes 2 iterations of the shape, and then it only outputs 1 iteration? That doesn't make sense. Shouldn't it output 2? Who made this crazy blueprint? I would expect 2 inputs and 2 outputs. Let me just observe this blueprint down the bottom. That processes a full belt. This is not right. Because then this would output 2020, and then that would just be blocked in. Hold on a second. Who made this crazy blueprint? This is in my blueprint redesign series. I did this like as if it was a proper final Mark 3 blueprint, but that's not how the swapper works, because you would bring 2 shapes in and bring 2 shapes out. I'll show you how the swapper works. It's supposed to work, but just the throughput on this is wrong. So what we can do is bring this shape in, bring this shape in, give them a swap. We'll just look at the bottom layout. See how when they swap, they give us 2 iterations of the exact shape we want. But because they're all merging into one, then that's not giving us what we want, right? I think this swapper is purely for checkerboarding, and I didn't care about throughput. But that's very silly. We should design a swapper that does work the way we want it to. And we can see if with the new platforms and stuff, whether we can fit it on a 1x1. Sorry, I mean a 2x1, because the belting is going to be a little bit crazy. So essentially we need 4 swappers to process a belt. They're going to need to be input from somewhere, like this. And then the other side is going to need to jump. But because now we have these smaller belt launchers, maybe we can make a much tighter build, right? Because we can belt launch like this, which is a technique we never were able to do before. Now 1 input can come from here and 1 input can come from here. And that is 1 unit of our swapper. Let's just test that. So this is like, for example, 1 belt and 1 belt. And go in the right way, like this. And once it swaps, it's going to bring out my shape like this. And I would want to rotate one of them 180 degrees to turn them into the same shape. That way I can merge 4 of these belts and then 4 of these belts and not join this, right? And that's like 2 inputs, 2 outputs. Now, can we fit 4 of these units into this. It's going to be very, very tight. Let's try it. There's no way you can fit it side by side like this, because say you put one here, there's no way you can fit another one there. Can we condense this anymore? Not really. That means we need to try to fit 4 units like this. That seems pretty impossible too. Does that look pretty much impossible? Because how would we get 4 of these belts out this way and 4 of these belts out this way while getting 4 of these belts in? Let's move this all the way back. Let's get 1 input into the back. We'll get 1 input into the back this way. Then this output needs to go out, say, this side. I'm just gonna put a placeholder belt here. And then 1 input needs to go out this side. Right? Like that. I'm gonna put a placeholder belt here so I know sort of what I'm doing. Then this next one will need to go like here. How can I make this turn? Well, if we did something like this with a little curve and then a little jump, maybe a big jump to clear this whole area, like that, then this can go out. And now if I move this back a bit, say like here, then I can bring this belt in here, like that. But that's just 1 tile shy of letting both these belts out, because how do I get now these 2 belts out? I think it's like 1 tile too fat. Just seeing if this is possible at all, or worth doing. I'm sure it's possible, but it's going to take a while. Let me tinker with it. What if we did something like this, where this belt comes out, jumps over, and we move this whole section down a little bit? Then that gets all 3 of these belts out. And this out is going to be here now. Like that. Or we should just keep jumping this belt as far as we can. That one's not connected to anything. This one's trying to connect to this one. We want this one to connect to this one. And then this one needs to connect to that one to do like maximum jumping. So now that's connected to that one and it can do the hop. And now we want to kind of hop it all the way out to the exit. Like that. But we can't adjust this hop. Or we'd have to move that there. So that's this side done. That's this side done. Get rid of this belt stuff so we can see this working. Now we've got that one input. Now we've got to input these 2. So I reckon we just hop these belts as much as we can to get to their destination. Because this shape needs to go into here now. So if we open up this side, like that, we can get this in. No, there's no way we can get this in. Because this needs to travel like this. We'd have to do that. And that one needs to then get out somewhere. We'll worry about that in a bit. And then the 4th one, again, is in a very similar boat. We'd have to clear this belt jumping area. Like this. And then bring it in like this. Right? And then definitely this one's going to need to come back. And then do a turn. There's no way we can get 4 belts out in this tiny space, I don't think. Even if we get this first belt out directly, these belts need too much space to do their turns. Unless we shift these a little bit more, which I suppose we can shift every single one of these to a correct position to maybe make this work. Let's keep tinkering with this and see if we can get anywhere with it. What if I cleared out this area and made it go all the way down here? That won't help either. Because whatever happens on this side needs to happen on the other side. feel like with enough belt jankiness, we've done it. So this one goes up that way. This one does a little hop and then goes into the second one. Our third belt does a little hop, curves into that side, goes into the third one. Our fourth belt goes this way, does a hop, does another hop, curves back into the edge, does another hop and in. For the 4 outputs on the side, we've got this, does a hop, goes out, first one. Our second output goes this way, does a hop, goes out. Our third output is direct, and our fourth output does that, right? So then if in theory, we should be able to mirror this directly on the other side, and it should be almost exactly the same, like that. Let's delete all of it and then basically do that. It should be almost exactly the same, except they go into this side, right? So that input goes there. Stop that. Flush the platforms. And now we just got to route these inputs into the correct spot, because at the moment they're being routed up here. Is this different to this side? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It should be exactly the same, like that. Let's just do this first one first. This first one is coming down like that, right? And now this is a little bit different because of where it goes, but we should be able to adjust this accordingly, because we just want this launcher. Oh, this is a little bit different, but we can do this adjustment pretty easily. So we'll do it together. We get a launcher over here like this, and then we want to land the launcher here. Do we want to do that? You know what? Let me just do this differently, because this side and this side is not the same. So let's fix up this stuff. So we do need to do this other side sort of manually as well, but it should be doable. What if I did that? No, I don't want to do that. We want to apply the same concept where we want to sort of land the launchers right next to them. So like here. Like that. And then that first one we can do something janky, like bring it back and then bring it over and then launch. So that gets that in, but it gives a clearance for this belt out. But not much. We can also get it going backwards. So we can shift this over, say, like here, and then go backwards in. And that would be a lot cleaner. That way there's plenty of room for this to do whatever the heck it needs to do. Like jump over here or something. So we did something like this. That would still function. Now the third one needs to go out as well. And the fourth one needs to go out. So these all need to immediately go into launchers. So let's do the third one first. That's the maximum jump distance. And then it needs to do something similar. Well, once it jumps out, what we do is we go over here. And then we add the launcher like this. And then launch it like here. And then get that going around. Then the fourth one does something very similar. So we get a launcher, a lander, bring that over, all the way over. Now, how does this one work? That goes there. So we need to bring it in at some point. So we'll do it there. And then we land it like this as well. Like that. And then we go backwards and in. Okay, cool. So that's all the inputs. Now we just got to worry about the outputs. Now, is this a maximum launch distance? No. So if we want a launcher here, actually this should be okay. So I put a launcher here, it won't interfere with this launcher. And then I can put a catcher here, right? And it knows that one can only link with that one. And my first output over here just kind of went out with the second output to go into the first and second output here. So there's my first output. Here's my second output. Like that. And then we can bring one here. we can launch that out. Like our final output should be easy, right? Should just be that. This output could go here. No. Like that. Then I just need to bring one of my outputs, which is say this one, over this side. So this output should go here. That's another output down. And now we just need to get this output out there, which should be possible. So we'll get a thing over here. And this can only be caught over here. Then if we curve this belt this way, put a launcher here, and then a lander, say here, that should be fine. And then we can do like a mini launch. Like here. And then catch it there, and that gives this enough path to go out. Well, in theory, that should work. The only way I can tell is if I put some bins down. So if we chuck bins on either side, now we can see if this runs at maximum efficiency all the time. So I'm going to let this run for a little bit, and then we'll see. Now it's been running for a bit. We can see we are getting full saturation of belts on both sides. So that is definitely correct, and we are getting the correct same shape out twice. So this is a very handy little swapping tool. We're going to copy this up to make it Mark II, and then we're going to save this swapper, and we're going to put it into our Mark II blueprints, and we'll put a 2 there, and we'll just save that blueprint. Get rid of this. Now this is actually what we want. Now we've got 2 belts of this second and third layer shape. One of them needs to be green and one of them needs to be red. So I'm going to bring my green and my red paint over. Now we can merge the output of this like that and just bring it over into some painters. And we'll do one painter here. Like that. There's our red one. And then we need another painter like here. And then we should be able to drag a belt like that, and that's our green one. Now we need to stack the red and the green on top with the green on the bottom. So we'll grab our stacker. So the green needs to be on the bottom. The red needs to be on the top. So we'll go underneath and then back up like that. And in theory, that should get us our second and our third layer, on top of which we just need a half circle. So we'll just half destroy one of these circles. And then we just need to piece this shape together. The half a star goes on top. I believe it's all in the right orientation too. Sorry, the half a star goes on the bottom, I meant. So this goes on top. Like that. And in theory, this half star should go over here. And that should get us our first 3 layers. And they're all facing the right direction. Now we just need to stack a half circle onto it. So we'll bring the half circle down and over. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Why do I have random belts all the way under here? Then we just need our stacker. This shape is on the bottom and the half circle is on top, something like this. So we'll bring this shape over, we'll go down here, and we'll bring this shape up. Now the half circle should be on the circle part of it. And the circle part of it is on the left side. So we need to flip this 180 degrees before we do this. Do our 180 degree rotator. Go down here, bring that up. And that should in theory be the shape that we're after. And we'll check in on that in a bit. But for now, we got another 6 points from this. We've got another few operator points, giving us 14 points, which we can increase our train capacity with. And that should get our trains going a little bit faster. We might be able to delete some of these trains. We don't need like 1 billion of them anymore with our faster train speeds. But check it out. That should be that. That shape is looking awfully like this shape. But for now, we need to cut this in half as well. So we do need to rotate this clockwise. and then half destroy it. Let's verify this shape is indeed working. This is the correct shape. Yeah, I believe that is working. Just gotta wait for the belts to saturate and we should be all good. And yeah, that's pretty much looking like that shape. And then when that's done, we just need to get rid of this and we should be able to deliver the next shape too. Fantastic. So we're well on our way. Our research is going really well now. We've unlocked a lot of speed stuff. The next iteration of speed stuff is going to be harder to unlock. So we might just farm up 50 points and get our get our level 3 going. Where's our level 3? Yeah, third building floor is probably the best thing to do next. And once we get our third building floor, we'll be able to produce these shapes a lot faster. And I think our train capacity is pretty good now. We could probably get more train capacity to reduce the number of trains even more. But we'll do all that next episode. For now, we've got this shape going, which is fantastic. We'll get plenty more research points on the way. Our staging 2 is now free. We can delete this and start working on the next iteration of tasks, which we will start doing next episode. And we've got plenty more tasks to do before we get into any sort of requirement for color mixing, all the way up to task 14. So we'll just be working on tasks a little bit for the next few episodes, and then that should be all good. I still don't know where my vortex launcher is. Either that or vortex launcher doesn't exist in hard mode, maybe. In which case then we will need to unlock all of our vortex inputs and then build a big cargo unloading station, because I'm assuming the vortex launcher would just be here in normal mode. But we'll deal with all that next episode. For now, we'll leave it here. If you've enjoyed the episode, don't forget to leave a like and sub, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.